Within the last few years, the issue of Big Pharma's price gouging has finally become one that American citizens are paying attention to. Unfortunately, we do not yet have enough politicians paying attention to this issue, but at least consumers know it's happening. But what they may not know is also happening is that sometimes these drug companies get together with one another and collude to make sure they keep their prices high by blocking generics from entering the market. Joining me now to discuss this issue is Scott Hardy from TopClassActions.com. Scott, Top Class Actions had a great story recently on this anticoagulant medication, Levonox. What's that all about? I mean, this is a very serious issue. It's a popular medication. So what's happening with this particular medication?
Well, what we're seeing with the Levonox class action and the antitrust essential class action with the price fixing is that this is a common drug that's used if you have deep vein thrombosis. You might get prescribed this drug, and deep vein thrombosis happens to hundreds, if not thousands of people every day all across America. It's a very popular prescription drug to treat that. And so what the drug manufacturer did was, as the generic times what a drug is going to actually become generic and get a whole lot cheaper, they colluded with the generic manufacturer, or allegedly colluded with the generic manufacturer, to keep another generic manufacturer off the market. So that way they could control how high priced what the actual price will be for the one generic. And we see that a lot, and what you'll actually see are patent lawsuits that go back and forth. So as a drug is coming off of the high-priced, only one retail-priced version of the drug, and now you've got generic manufacturers coming out, you'll have lawsuits that go back and forth from the original manufacturer talking about patent infringement, where there might be a slight difference in the formulation. And essentially what happened is that the generic manufacturer worked with the name brand manufacturer and cut a deal with another generic manufacturer to keep that drug off the market, making sure that the average consumer is paying a lot more for the drug than they should have. And this is not happening just for Levonox and these anticoagulants. We've seen these class actions and these antitrust lawsuits get filed for drugs across the board. And so it's good when we see a name brand manufacturer get hit and get caught for this collusion, because all they're trying to do is charge you, the average consumer, more and put more money in their pockets. I mean, we're seeing that most pharmaceutical manufacturers now are spending more on their advertising budget than they're actually spending on research. And that's disheartening, to say the least. But when they're also trying to charge you and collude with other manufacturers to keep the price of your medication high when it's already so expensive to get medication in the U.S., it's just a sad state that we're in for a medical system overall.
Exactly. And one of the things that they use to keep these generics off the market is a little scam they call pay to delay. Though actually sometimes the bigger pharmaceutical companies will offer money to the generic manufacturer to put off coming to market for a year or two. They'll fully, compensate them what they probably would have made off that drug, but instead, generic gets their money. The name brand makes even more money because the generic's not out there yet. The whole system, from the regulatory agencies to the lawmakers to the CEOs and the shareholders, the whole system's rigged from the top down. Absolutely rigged. None of these companies ever fully get held accountable for putting out products that, kill or maim people, products that cause cancer, colluding in these antitrust cases. Yes, they pay out money for it, but none of them ever face actual legal consequences. You don't see the CEOs of these companies being hauled off to prison as the average person would be, and so they keep doing it. These fines, these lawsuits, that's the cost of doing business for them, and they actually work those into their equations when they come up with ideas for new drugs and how to market it and all those things. We'll pay X amount in lawsuits.
They sure do, Farron. And that's the thing, is that, as you said, this is the price of doing business. And this lawsuit is viewed as the price of doing business for these big name pharmaceutical companies. They know that, yes, what they're doing is probably illegal. And they know that they shouldn't be trying to keep these generic drugs off the market and make some more money off it. But they also know that if they can make an extra $500 million by keeping a drug off the market, well, why not go ahead and pay the fine, as they may see it, of $50 to $100 million through the form of a class action settlement to make that profit up front? Yeah, they're going to get dinged for it. Yeah, it may be illegal. But like you said, there's no enforcement. No one's going to jail. There's no huge fines going against the corporation. They're just having to pay a fraction of the profits that they've made by this allegedly illegal practice.
Absolutely. There is a link in the description to this video talking about the Lovonix case. If you've had this medication or if you know someone who has, I encourage all of you, please go check out that link and see what you need to do to get your money back. That is what this lawsuit is partially about, trying to stop this antitrust, companies paying each other to not bring the generics. We're entitled to these generic options, and when corporations are taking those choices away from us, taking those options away, everyone suffers except for the shareholders of those particular companies. So Scott Hardy with TopClassActions.com, thank you for telling us this story, and thank you for doing all that you do to help consumers stay aware of what's actually happening in this country. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Farron.